Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Break It Down. Check in with Trumbull one more time before we go speak to Sweener. Trumbull nods a curt greeting. You're back. Have you had any luck with Sweener? I had more questions about this whole situation. Trumbull breathes a short laugh. What's to explain? It isn't very complicated. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I barely got enough good grain to go around. Sweener's howling after things he has no right to. Seems like a pretty clean story for a messy situation. Trumbull frowns. It's not... He pauses. Look. Sweener's always been a rotten bastard. With stores so limited, maybe I save the good stuff for people who deserve it. Offer, for instance. She's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? Do the villagers know about the grain supply? Trumbull looks embarrassed. Some. The innkeeper, for instance. It's better not to worry anyone. I'll be trading for supplies soon enough. If we can just keep things calm until then, we'll be in the clear. The innkeeper. Trumbull winces. I wouldn't drink the ale, is all I'm saying. I have no more questions. Trumbull nods. Was there anything else?
Good day, stranger.
Huh?
Alright, let's go get Sweener's side of the story. It's safe to assume we can find him at the inn. I check in with the innkeeper as well, since she's privy to the situation.
Well met, friend.
Huh?
Good day, stranger.
Alright, there he is.
Well met, friend.
Don't know who you are, and don't much care. Keep walking. We're not here to chat with foreigners. Aloth narrows his eyes. Careful. Looks like they're cut from the same cloth as those rowdies who attacked me. He wrinkles his nose. Smells like it too. I saw you outside of the mill. What was that about? Well, someone fancies themselves a meddler, huh? What's that about? It's about Trumbull thinking he's king of the town, on account of he's got the mill to his name. The dwarf's jowls quiver with rage. It's about him barely giving us anything for the wheat we bring him, and then cutting our purses when we need to buy grain. It's about farmers going hungry, while some bastard gets rich off their crops. That's what it's about. Now shove off. What are you doing in here then? What's it look like? Drinking till I forget how much I want to put a pitchfork through Trumbull's face. Trumbull says you've been threatening his family. But I bet he has. All nobility, that Trumbull. 2 big strong kids. You're a soul in all of Gilded Vale. The dwarf sneers. Carrot's sending out messengers to handle his business. We can go and tell him we haven't had a solid meal in days on account of him. We can't afford a good drink on account of him. But we won't be bullied by some foreigner on account of him. I want to take option 1 to actually talk to these guys, but I don't want to waste money on them. So I think I'll take option 2. You so much as raise your voice to that family again, and I'll hang you from the windmill blades for the crows to eat. Hey, hold on there. Squinter raises his hands defensively, eyes big. No need to get nasty. We won't go near the miller. Blazes. We haven't done a thing to him. We're just hungry is all. It looks like that isn't changing. You want to side with that rotten bastard, you go right ahead. You and this whole town. I have to remember I'm not playing a moral paladin. I'm playing a greedy paladin. Spending money to resolve a quest is counterproductive to doing quests for money.
Right.
Welcome.
Okay, we've read that already. I spoke to Sweener. Trouble takes a deep breath. And? What did he say? I convinced him to leave your family in peace. Why that's... Really? That's great news. I wasn't sure you'd get through to him. They're out of their minds with drink half the time. I owe you a great debt. Here. He pulls a coin purse from his hip and pushes it towards you. Today's earnings, to show my appreciation. And you can be sure I'll let everyone know what you've done for me. Glad to help. Now we stand a chance of getting through the year. Trimble smiles broadly. All thanks to you. Safe travels, friend. Okay, go check out the smithery, now that we have some extra coin weighing down our pockets. Dented and dull, these swords look ready for the forge.
Steady does it.
Keeping an eye out.
The bellows sigh into the furnace, and the coals burn brighter still. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. 1. All errors can be reforged into lessons. Abaddon rebuilt himself from ruin. No setback is insurmountable, not even death itself, as long as the soul is dedicated to the task. 2. Work hard, work well. Abaddon demands only honest labor and forthright service. All errors can be reforged if your first intentions are pure. 3. All ignorance can be reforged into knowledge. Master your craft, excel at what you have been trusted to do. Do not offend your teacher by remaining a student forever. 4. Each generation must forge its successors. Teach your trade to all who are willing to learn, and in doing so, multiply the fruits of your knowledge. 5. All difficulties can be reforged into triumphs. Meet strife with humility and acceptance. Let adversity temper the ingot of your will, and you will never shatter. 6. Embrace your station, fulfill the duties of your rank, and meddle not in the affairs of your betters. All guilds fail at their weakest link. 7. All loss can be reforged into strength. Profitable work heals all emptiness. So long as you have the tools of your trade, you will always be able to forge wealth anew. 8. Value the works of others, and they will value your works in return. Share the harvest with the hungry, and your tools with the destitute. 9. All souls can be reforged into whatever we will. Hard work is not exclusive to life. Death is no time for complacency. Commit yourself to excellence in this cycle and the next.
Huh?
Keeping an eye out.
An account of Totanu's sales. The pages are nearly empty. The Samoa man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, His thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame a square-jawed face coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. Welcome. You're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you? Is this your shop? That it is. Been here near on 20 years now. Seen all manner of things over the years. Good luck and bad. Tanu glances at the guard standing watch along the wall. But the Black Hammer smithery remains. What do you have here? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be. We find weapons and armor to offer yet. All forged right here at the Black Hammer. What happened? We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near on a week now. Haven't seen a sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by bandits. The road out east is crawling with them. All my workers ran off with the wagon themselves, maybe, to make some coin. Utano snorts, as if that lot would dare. He's right about the bandits. The dire situations in villages like this, and the exodus to the cities, has created far too many opportunities for unscrupulous sorts. Utano scratches his jaw thinking. If you happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for a supply wagon. Or my shipment at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I expect. Only good road for it. As it is, most of our weapons go to His Grace, Lord Raedric. Utano glances at the nearby guard. And that's as it should be. But it doesn't leave much for our outsiders. We just don't have the iron. Where was the wagon traveling from? We send the wagon up to New Hiomar with weapons, and it swings round through Logholm and the like to purchase supplies. Shortest route back is through the Black Meadow, and then north through the wilds. Tanu shakes his head. Had a trader come through with word they'd made it to Logholm. I haven't heard a thing since. I'll find your supplies. Tanu nods. You have my thanks. You bring the supplies back, I have plenty more to offer you. A discount to start. Oh, if you find my workers, tell them to hurry it up, or they can take up farming instead.
Well met, friend.
Good to see you again. I fear to start running low on goods. You're welcome to look at what we have. I'd like to see your wares, please. Of course. You won't find finer anywhere else. There's a few unique items. Okay, Jenna's lance. Not actually a proper lance, but rather a pike. The weapon was gifted to an Orlan maid along with a goat by her wizard master Cabrindo, who was forced to show her the door after a number of episodes of remarkable clumsiness and brash carelessness that left his grimoire waterlogged and his laboratory in ashes. The gifts were all the soft-hearted wizard could do to staunch his guilt. Wandering from place to place with only her goat, her pike, and a reputation for negligence that preceded her, her fortunes changed one day when she encountered a pair of soldiers trapped by a group of bandits. Too short to wield the pike properly, she instead climbed atop her goat and spurred it into the fray, leveling the pike like a lance and running one of the bandits through. Frightened and confused by the display and intimidated by Jenna's coarse language, the remaining bandits fled, and the soldiers' lives were spared. Her actions earned her a commission with a local fort, and she served with distinction in the cavalry. The original experience had given her such pleasure that she always found a place at the front of any charge. Eventually, this took its toll, as she went missing after her unit was commanded to charge a group of trolls. Old Wall. A masterwork of Dwarven craftsmanship, the sturdy arbalest earned its name during the Battle of Marching Mountains, where a Dwarven ranger held off a group of ogres bearing down on him and his few remaining comrades. In the ranger's hands, the arbalest proved more than capable of launching bolts through thick ogre hide, holding the invading force at bay just long enough for reinforcements to arrive. While victory against the ogres proved short-lived, the tale is still one told with great pride around Dwarven campfires. Azareth Stiletto. A lot of flavor text. The War of Black Trees brought hardship and suffering to many Glenfathans, but it bore special tragedy for its druidic orders. who were forced not only to endure the deaths of many friends and kin, but also the destruction of the lands they revered above all else. Among these was Ezerith, a young ovate. Deeply troubled by the use of the elements to turn nature against the people of Irglanfoth, and wondering if he was seeing the last days of his people, Ezerith took to walking the endless stretches of burned-down forests in search of something, anything, that might signal a reason to hope. He found it in an old ironwood tree, thick and gnarled with roots that ran in waves through the ground as though they'd been woven there. It stood as it always had, though singed well up the side of its trunk now, while everything around it had been incinerated by the soldiers of Deerwood, leaving a wasteland 1,000 acres in every direction. Ezerith plucked a single branch from the old tree, making sure to express his profound gratitude. An accomplished organic artificer, Ezerith reshaped the branch into a blade that would rival any made in a forge. He infused it with the strength of the elements, vowing never again to be at their mercy, resolving that if the tree could endure, so too could he. In his hands, the blade would find its way into the hearts of many soldiers who stood at the edge of forests with torches and barrels of pitch, and by the war's end, he had saved many forests from the flame. When his years were drawing to a close, Ezerith made a final pilgrimage back to the old ironwood tree, which still stood, and he laid the knife at its base, to be taken up by someone else in need of inspiration in dark times. On his way there, he was pleased to see that beneath the ashes that covered the forest floor, new life had begun to spring. Ezerith's stiletto is unusual as the entire weapon is dark red-brown wood, even the blade. The magic used in its creation hardened and protected the wood, preventing it from chipping or warping. Dark green vines and leaves sprout from it and wrap themselves around the hilt to form the grip. Chitanu said that he crafted everything in his inventory here in the forge. That was a lie. Alright, outworn buckler. The simple wooden buckler would not be out of place in a pile of surplus training shields. Painted green, has 2 black iron straps across its front that form a large X. Looks like it has taken more than its share of blows, and may have been in use for far too long. But far from ordinary, the buckler is in fact thousands of years old, its preservation a testament to a transcendence of its humble creation. The buckler originally belonged to one of the founding members of the Darkozi Paladini, when she was just a squire, thousands of years ago in the glory days of Olvalia. As it accumulated damage from war and weather, the buckler became an extension of the paladin's own irrepressibility and protectiveness, as well as a symbol that inspired those in her charge. She wore it in every battle of her long and distinguished career, and though the paladin's name would eventually succumb to the ravages of time, the shield is yet to do the same. They said the shield was so partial to its original master, they will allow none but a paladin of similar conviction to touch it, and in times of need, it has a way of making it into the hands of those whose souls mirror the greatest qualities of the Darkozi founder. Lost my place there for a second. So the rings have generic descriptions. I think this is a unique description for this belt. This belt is comprised of several layers of leather, wound around round pieces of metal. The resulting effect is not unlike the brigandine, though the belt's sturdiness only reflects those arcane protections woven into the material, but the belt grants uncommon resistance against cutting and piercing weapons. I keep losing my spot reading these. This might be unique. It's a bronze horn figurine. Though tarnished and lusterless in its remarkable age, the intricate inscriptions and texturing still discernible on the horn's surface, along with the artifact's obvious longevity, suggest an object of expert workmanship.
Yeah.
Alright, so we can't afford any of that stuff yet. I will be back for that shield. Alright, let's actually go speak to... I forget his name. It's like Urgieth. or something like that. The magistrate. Urgiet. Or just Urgiet.
I have received confirmation that Lord Radric's heir was not born well. My lord has issued an injunction on all new homesteads until he can be assured that the village has been cleansed of all Eothasians and whatever other undesirables that have brought this curse upon his lands. It would be best if you left town as soon as possible. I would suggest returning to your old home. There will be no place for you here. You may stay at the inn until you can make the necessary arrangements, but I would not advise remaining long. I expect Lord Radric will be most thorough in his efforts to purify this place.
Tell me about Lord Radric. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since Adir times. Radric II is an early supporter of Deerwooden independence during the Revolution. The current lord's father perished in the Saints' War. Hollowborn began appearing in the Deerwood shortly after the war's end. Lord Radric has taken it upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe, but necessary. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to have been enough to protect his heir. The Saints' War. Our age's most egregious example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Riad Ceres decided that Widewin, their living saint, was a literal incarnation of the god Eothas. Urgiet wrinkles his pinched nose. The supposed saint took it upon himself to liberate the Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to less worthy gods. I've never known an army to conquer a land for its people's own good. The war lasted about a year. You can guess what that year did to the worship of Eothas in the Deerwood. Lord Radric's forebears had all been Eothasians? Or Eothasians? After his father fell defending us from those fanatics, he personally saw that the temple of Eothas here in town was shut down. He pointed a few ruined walls near the tree. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. I'd like to know more about Gilded Vale. We're a frontier village, as are most settlements in the Deerwood. Gilded Vale hasn't grown much since its establishment in the colonial days, and the last 15 years have seen our population shrink further. It takes in the ramshackle houses and half-fallen fences, hence our recruitment of fresh settlers. Aloth snorts. Indeed. But why has Gilded Vale's population been shrinking? Widewind's legacy, of course. Many women have had difficulty bearing healthy children of late. A few years ago, Lord Radric decreed that no mothers of Hollowborn are to be allowed in Gilded Vale. His mouth tightens into a firm line. His lordship dealt swiftly with the objectors. It may be harsh, but if it purges us of this curse, is it not worth it? Tell me about those ruins behind the tree. That's what's left of the temple of Eothas. His lips pucker. Lord Radric forbade worship of the dead god after the Saints' War. It's been abandoned for almost 15 years, but there are plans to rededicate it to Berith, the god of life and death. Abandoned because some nice lord decided to pull it down because he was scared of its god even after it died. Berith's a good choice though. I like it. Berith believes in cycles. I like to think that what happened to that temple will get repaid someday too. Enough about Gilded Vale. You'll get to know the town well enough as you explore, I'm sure. Well, this is outrageous. I came a long way. Then you should have no problem continuing on. Trust me when I say it would be best if you're not here when Lord Radric's men are dispatched from his hold. They'll be looking for anyone who might have brought the legacy upon us, whose very presence might have polluted his wife's womb. They will extinguish all possibilities.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes across as a bit of a jerk. But I don't know, he seems somewhat kind. Like, he doesn't seem to fully agree with Lord Radric's policies. Alright, so there's something I want to check over here, because I swore there was a hidden...
I'll see what I can find.
thing in one of these walls over here.
Right.
Aha!
Nice and slow.
Alright, +5 deflection.
Yeah.
Alright, back to Gilded Vale, and we can enter the Temple of Eothas. A rising sun and 3 dawn stars. The symbol of Eothas.
Right.
Keeping an eye out. I haven't been in here for, must be 5, 6 years. Used to be real nice. Bright. Warm.
A man lies resting against the wall, lit by the dim illumination of the fading sconces. He has a gaunt, fox-like aspect. His face is pale and damp with sweat. One arm is held loosely against his side, sleeve soaked with blood. He gives you an anxious glance as you near, his features twisted with pain. Have a care if you mean to go in. He casts a quick look towards the doorway to his left. This place is not so empty as I thought. He angles a look up at Adair, paying respects Eothasian. Yeah, it has to be Thasian. He manages a pained grin. A little risky, isn't it? Think what the townsfolk would say. Safer down here than up there, even with the rats as big as they are. Advantage of hostility belies Adair's playful tone. This temple isn't what it used to be. Probably for the best. Times being as they are. He groans and shifts position, wincing. I'm no looter, if that's what you're thinking. Not one of his types either. Wharton jerks his chin towards Adair. Just wanted to do some good, I suppose. Got my arm clawed up for it. He regards you warily. Maybe you'd have better luck. Better luck with what? The man puts a finger upwards. These ruins around us used to be a temple of Eothas, the scattered god. A grand temple at that. His worshippers would come from all over the Deerwood, from Raid Saris even. Not so much from Raid Saris these days. Until the war, of course. Even then, you get some of the stubborn ones. The ones that couldn't get it through their heads that their god was dead and gone. Lord Radric allowed them to worship. Lord Radric would clear out the place from time to time, make arrests. It wasn't until the legacy that he started, losing patience. He sent his guards in to put the priest to the sword, bring the place down, burn some of the books, and that was that. He looks away. What's this legacy? Didn't the magistrate tell you? Deerwood's being punished for killing Eothas, or for not killing his followers too, depending on which idiot you believe. Either case, you don't see too many children around here born right. They come out, and they don't cry, and they don't look at their mothers. Got no soul in them to give them a personality. They just breathe. Burton eyes Adair warily. As the man says. The thinking is it's wide when having a last laugh. Strikes me as a little petty, even for a dead god. He smiles thinly. But Lord Radric believes it. That's all that matters. But go on. Once the legacy started, Lord Radric decided he'd been too lenient on the Eothasians. He had his people go in and put them to the sword. Left them down there, buried, under a heap of rock. After that, Radric ordered the temple sealed. It's been years like that, up until recently. Lord Radric hopes that if we rededicate the temple to a living god, it will be forgiven, and the legacy will end, see? He smiles wryly. But until then, the temple is as you see it, unguarded. That's where you come in. Morton licks his lips. Those priests, Maybe they didn't have a lick of sense between them, but they still didn't deserve to go like that. Chopped down in their god's house. It doesn't sit right with me. If you can get down there, find their remains, maybe we can finally give them a proper burial. Wharton breathes out. No small task. There's coin in it for you, if you need motivating. Ayla's cautious expression softens. A pleasant surprise to see that someone around here has a shred of respect for the dead. I have some questions first. Yes? Why can't you do this yourself? Well, I tried. I got a short ways in before I got in over my head. Wharton grimaces. I haven't raised a blade in a long time. Turns out it isn't something you can just pick up again. But you look like you can handle yourself. Who are you, anyway? Wharton offers you a weak grin. Name's Wharton. I've lived in Gilded Vale long enough to remember how grand it used to be. He shrugs and looks away. I used to help the temple, sometimes. Bring supplies. That's all. Will Lord Radric mind us digging around down there? I wouldn't go telling him about it. Lingering in these places is no good for anyone. But you do this quick and quiet, we can do right by those priests without raising a fuss. Alright, that's same as before. Any chance there's something down there worth a little more than some old bones? Wharton looks around. Probably. Nobody's been through the place since it was sealed up. Well, apart from me. I didn't touch anything. Any valuables in there, you get first crack at them. I'll ask that you do this favor for me while you're at it. I have no more questions. Wharton nods. Then, what do you say? Wait, you want me to bring you some skeletons? I'd bury them where they are if I could. I know it's a little macabre. Or macabre. But if we don't get them out now, Radric's liable to destroy whatever's left of them. I take it you aren't supposed to be in here. Wharton laughs obliquely. Well, I meant to be in and out, nice and quick. I'm not hurting anyone. It's just, Lord Radric's forbidden anyone having anything to do with the scattered god. It'd be a little harder to explain to him than you. It's a good cause, though, isn't it? And you can make some coin in the process. They're long dead. What does it matter where they're buried? It's about respect, isn't it? About deserving to be remembered. Not just tossed under a pile of rock and forgotten. He breathes out shakily. I thought it worth the effort, giving that to them. I'll find them. Then by the flame, I owe you a good turn. But listen, the temple's been sealed off for so long, it's crawling with creatures. But if you get past them, the priests would have been down on the lower floor. They'll be there still, if they're anywhere. This priest had all kinds of secret chambers, switches in the walls, strict sconces, that kind of thing. Keep an eye out, and take care down there. I wouldn't want to have to send someone else after your remains. I'll wait here by the stairs and keep a lookout. Maybe try to patch myself up some.
Huh?
Well met, friend.
Wharton nods at you in greeting, cradling his injured arm. You returned. Find anything? I'm still exploring the upper level. No sign of anything yet. Well, keep at it. I figure they're down in the lower reaches for certain. I'll be here.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna call the episode here, and the next one we will begin exploring the Temple of Iothis, and see if we can't bury some dead. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one.